Today we're taking a look at some of the most unique, unusual, and one-of-a-kind EDC gear items on the market. This is one of my favorite series to do, so let's just dive straight into it. First up is the Metmo Grip. This is an adjustable wrench unlike anything else I have seen before. It's almost a blend of a wrench and a fidget toy. The Grip is a reimagining of an adjustable wrench design patent that they found from 1929. This is one of the most satisfying things I've ever used, and I don't even fully understand how they pulled this off to work. It kind of breaks my brain a little bit. It adjusts really easily with this sliding mechanism, but somehow it locks into place when you have your positions set. It's adjustable from 0mm up to 22mm, which comes out to 0.885 inches. The main body components are made out of stainless steel. All the machining is essentially perfect on here. It is such a beautiful work of art for a wrench, if you can even say that. And for as complicated as it seems on the surface, it's actually a relatively simple layout of parts. They have a whole teardown thing on their website. It'd be very easy to disassemble this for tinkering or maintenance or whatever you need. Its main function is obviously as a wrench, but it does have a couple of other functions or features depending on how you look at it. Not quite a multi-tool, but not quite a single-use item. Now, on the backside here, you can actually put in a standard size hex bit. So if you want to use it as a driver, you get all of this extra torque from the extended handle. It also works as a bottle opener they have in their marketing materials. You know, not necessary, but kind of a fun little addition. This was just such a cool and crazy design, and it's tied in with a piece of history with that old 1929 patent. Thought it was really cool. I absolutely loved their pocket driver, and it's really great to see that they have, you know, an expanded lineup of equally cool things on here. You know, the only real downside here is the pricing. This thing is not cheap. Comes in at $163 US, so you're definitely going to pay for the cool factor here, but I feel like this is just kind of an engineering marvel and a cool piece of history. It's extremely well built with really high quality materials, so if it's something you can afford, it's amazing, but definitely, you know, a little overkill for most of us if you just need a basic adjustable wrench. Next up is the Civivi Quick Snip. This is a little neck knife or keychain knife that only weighs 4 grams. There's nothing overly crazy here, kind of the opposite of the Metmo Grip like we had just talked about, but having a 4-gram utility blade that you can put on your keychain or wear around your neck, I thought was really cool. And, you know, neck knives are usually a little bit bulkier and heavier than this. I also like that this is really nice and cheap. They come in a 3-pack, I think for like $16, $17, or you can buy one on its own for $10. It's about 2.5 inches in length, and this ring diameter here is about 25 millimeters. It is a rubber coated ABS plastic for the main body, and then inside you just have a little surgical utility blade. The only real downside with this whole setup here is I believe that these utility blades are proprietary. I've never really seen a shape like this. I definitely could be wrong, but I do believe that this is a proprietary blade or blade shape. So you wouldn't be able to buy replacements from just anywhere like most utility blades, which is a bit of a bummer. But they are very inexpensive, and they do actually come with 3 additional blades as well. But just such a really clever design. You know, if you want something super lightweight for like ultralight backpacking, or if you want something to throw in your keychain that's not going to weigh it down a ton, I just thought it was a fun little design. Next up, this is the Tactile Turn Bolt Action Pen. I've talked about a lot of pens over the years. It's been a little while, but this one really stood out from the bunch just because of how it's machined. It has these tiny, almost difficult to see ridges on here that give it this really crazy grip that feels so great compared to other titanium pens I've used. I think this has easily become my new favorite. Going over some of the basic specs here, it's 5.6 inches length and 0.43 inches in diameter. The body is machined out of titanium, but they actually have the option of brass, copper, or zirconium as well. In addition to the metal choices, they also have a short option at 5.1 inches and a mini at 4.4 inches. And unfortunately, it was out of stock when I went to pick this up, but they do make a left-handed version in addition to the standard righty here. The bolt action feels super smooth and satisfying, definitely on the top end of all the options I've tried over the years. The pocket clip itself is actually really nice and satisfying as well. Tactile Turn is based in Dallas, Texas. That's where they manufacture and machine all of the products as well. So always great to see USA made stuff come in. It's only $99 too, which I know sounds like a lot for non-pen nerds, but when you get into like fancy titanium bolt action pens, you know, prices can easily get into the hundreds. It uses 0.7mm Pilot G2 refills, but they actually have a huge huge list of compatibility options on their website as well, so you're not locked into anything proprietary here, and it seems like they have a ton of choices and options that'll fit. Overall machining here is just beautiful and flawless. I can't get enough of these little ridges that they have on here. I wasn't really sure how I'd feel about it, if it would really matter, but once I got it, the first second putting it in my hand, just the level of like grip and the nicer feel with this compared to something smooth or sandblasted or brushed. Feels really nice. This is definitely my new default for the foreseeable future. I'd also be curious how the left-handed version is. I'm always a sucker for trying anything left-handed specific since we don't get very many. But so far the right-handed really hasn't been an issue for me either. So definitely check it out if you're looking at pens. I actually talked about one of their knives as well in my EDC video last week. Really incredible knife too, so go back and watch that if you missed it. Really quick though, I want to take a minute to thank Soundcore for sponsoring this week's video and introduce you to their new Liberty 4 Pro earbuds. Been a huge fan of Soundcore for a long time now. They consistently offer some of the best value on the market for Bluetooth speakers and headphones. The Liberty 4 Pro earbuds are no exception, launching as their new top-of-the-line model. The earbuds have 6 sound sensors and a barometric pressure sensor to accurately capture any environmental noise, and it's all processed through Soundcore's advanced ANC 3.0 algorithm, which adapts and changes every 0.3 seconds to ensure a smooth and consistent noise reduction. In practice, the tech works extremely well. These honestly offer some of the most thorough noise canceling out of any earbuds I've ever tested. The new case for the Liberty 4 Pro is a real standout as well. It comes in 3 different colors and has a built-in touch bar and smart display, allowing you to see and control the ambient sound levels as well as a few other functions, all customizable within the Soundcore app. Sound quality is great, as I've come to expect from them, offering LDAC and high-res wireless audio playback. There's deep bass, really great clarity, and the EQ settings are fully customizable to your liking in the Soundcore app. They include multiple ear tip sizes as well as a fit test to ensure you have the most optimal fit. The charging case also offers super fast charging with 4 hours of playback time with only 5 minutes of recharge. All in all, Soundcore has really hit the mark with the new Liberty 4 Pros. Be sure to check the link in the description if you want to learn more, pick one up for yourself. They actually have a buy one get one deal going on right now. For any pair of the Liberty 4 Pros that you purchase, you get a free travel case with it that's running through October 24th. Huge thanks again to Soundcore for sponsoring this week's video. Next up, we've got a couple of power banks. This is the new Nitecore NB10000 Gen 3, and this is the Nitecore Summit 10K. I'll start really quick with the NB10000 just because it's a little bit simpler. Been a huge fan of this power bank for many years, especially for ultralight backpacking. I've purchased and carried both the Gen 1 and the Gen 2, used them for years, and they've been nothing but great. These are the lightest power banks on the market that I'm aware of, at least, for milliamp hours per gram. This is actually a full carbon fiber body, and that's how they're able to reduce the weight so significantly compared to most other options. Comes in at 5.3 ounces or 150 grams. Going over some of the basic specs here, you have 2 USB-C ports on the top. Both offer a max input of 18 watts with an output of 22.5 watts. That's really the main change compared to the Gen 1 and Gen 2. Previously, they had a USB-A and a USB-C, and the output was a little bit lower. So they've upped the output rate and included a second USB-C port. I think the moves are good. The only real other change that they've made is they added, little rubberized corners here to help with some drop protection and add to the overall durability. That's really about it though. Not a ton of super great features, but if you're looking for something that is ultra lightweight, this is definitely the way to go. The other one that I wanted to talk about though is something I've never seen from anyone before. This is the Nitecore Summit 10K. This is essentially this power bank, but a little bit beefier and rated to be used at -40-degree temperatures. This is an ultra niche scenario, I am fully aware, but if anyone does any cold weather camping or backpacking, keeping electronic devices safe and usable in cold temperatures is a real challenge at times. The fact that this exists at all, I think, is super cool. It is an exorbitant price at $119, so I think that is a little crazy, but the fact I've never seen anyone else do it, they can kind of charge whatever they want because no one else is in that market, and it's such a small niche market. People are probably going to pay for it if they do a ton of mountaineering or live in super extreme climates. I was lucky enough to get a test model. Otherwise, I'd probably stick to my normal, stick it in the sleeping bag type of thing But nonetheless, this thing is super cool. It's able to operate with 70% capacity at a full -40 degrees. So that's Celsius or Fahrenheit. That's where they converge. It's a little bit heavier than the NB10000, but not by much. It comes in at 6 ounces or 169 grams. The way that they were able to pull this off, it actually is a built-in low-powered heater to heat up the device when it gets too cold. As you'd guess with the name, it's 10,000 milliamp hours of capacity. You have one USB-C port, one USB-A port. They're able to input 18 watts for charging, and for output you're able to get 20 watts out of the USB-C and 18 watts out of the USB-A. I haven't been able to fully test this for myself quite yet. I'm going to stick it in the freezer as soon as we're done recording here so I can get some B-roll of it in extreme cold, but I am absolutely looking forward to having this for the upcoming cold weather, camping and backpacking season. I'll definitely be reporting in for how it's performing out in the field. Next up, we've got the Lochby watch wallet. Now this isn't exactly an everyday carry item itself, but a way to carry around your everyday carry goods while you're traveling. I've actually been looking for a watch case or a travel roll of some sort for a while. Lochby sent this out to me a few months ago when I tried out the tool roll in their venture pouch. I was a really big fan of both of those. There were a couple of things I probably would change if it was for me personally, but I was still really impressed with the overall build quality and the pricing and the design. So I've been testing out the watch wallet and I really like it. First and foremost, I think the shape is really great compared to a lot of other options out there. This is a much more flat, kind of notebook type of shape. You have space for 3 watches and this little extra flap that goes over to protect everything. And on this side, you're able to just have some extra room for accessories or tools or anything else that you might need. I like the bright yellow orange interior. I think the high vis is really nice to be able to see what you're doing. The exterior is actually a waxed canvas, which I really like, and it's kind of reinforced. I think they said on their website there is a layer of plastic on the inside of this, but you get a little bit of extra protection. It's almost a blend between a soft-sided container and a hard-sided container. It measures out 7.75 inches by 6.25 inches by 1 inch thick. It weighs 5.5 ounces or 155 grams. Checked on their website before recording this. This is actually on sale right now for $39. I think the prices that they're putting out for some of this stuff is great. I love the materials, not a lot of waxed canvas goods in the space that they're designing these products in. So really cool to see, really functional as well if you're looking for a way to transport watches around. All in all, I've been really happy with it. Next up, this is the new Neo pen from Silver Fox Tools. Just launched on Kickstarter, should be running for a few more weeks by the time that this video goes live. But if you're looking for a bit of a smaller pen compared to the Tactile Turn, this is a really cool way to go. Closed up, the pen is only 80 millimeters or just a little bit over 3 inches in length. But once you unscrew it, you have a very strong neodymium magnet that attaches the back cap to give it a little bit of extra length for writing. Thought this was a really clever design, not crazy unique or unbelievable or anything, but just really well made. I love this magnet function. It's super strong and works well and really helps a lot with ergonomics that is difficult with these really short pens sometimes. The overall open length is 105 millimeters or 4.13 inches. It's 9 millimeters in diameter and weighs less than an ounce at 20 grams. They have the option of titanium, that's what I have here, but they do have a brass option as well. There's a lot of really great fine detail here, kind of a retro look and aesthetic. All of the machining is absolutely perfect. Silver Fox Tools is actually based in the Scottish Highlands, so that is where these are manufactured as well. Pricing is pretty reasonable for these as well. I think it's $54 for the titanium, maybe a few dollars less for the brass. Overall, this is probably one of my favorite small pens to use. It kind of reminds me of the Fisher Space bullet pen, but in a much cooler design with titanium, which is always a huge plus for me. The only real downside here that I found was the cartridges in terms of refills. Because of the weird size, it's pretty limiting in what you're able to do. They have their own Neo cartridges on the Kickstarter page, it says, or it's compatible with Lamy M22 cartridges. So be aware of that. Cartridge options are pretty limited, but if you're okay with that, I am really happy with this, and I'm a sucker for magnetic stuff as well. Just a really strong, satisfying magnet, and it's a really clever way to extend the length on these these really short, small packable type of pens. One other item I wanted to highlight from Silver Fox Tools, this is called the Fill. This is just a little tiny brass driver. This is arguably a little too simple for the list. I know I try and go ultra crazy and niche here. This is a relatively simple driver, but I just thought it was really well made, and you don't really see a lot with this exact type of design. I thought it was really nice and just wanted to talk about it, and this felt like the best place to do so. So it's a brass body that's able to store 2 bits on the interior. Really satisfying screw top design for the back for the bit storage. It's a magnetic holder for the bits as well. It comes in at 85 millimeters in length, or 3.34 inches. It's 12 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 60 grams. The overall machining, again here, just like the Neo pen that we talked about, is beautiful. It was just such a simple, nice looking driver, and I'm a sucker for really cool drivers like the Metmo Pocket Driver or a few others I've talked about over the years. I think the super small size could have a lot of fun applications, and it's just so easily pocketable and much more substantial than most like multi-tool drivers that you'd normally have access to on the go. We've got 2 unique but very different wallets up next. First up is the Puncube Mech wallet. And this is actually an aluminum hard wallet, and I'm not typically a fan of hard wallets. That's why you don't really see a lot of them on the channel. That's why you haven't seen a Ridge sponsorship, even though they continue to email me and ask. It's strictly a personal preference sort of thing, not a quality issue, but I've just never really been a fan. This is the first one though I've seen that kind of solves the main issue I have, which is easier access in and out for your cards. If you can see here, it's kind of a fidget toy blended with a wallet. So you actually just slide this up and it fans out all of your cards on the top. It holds 6 cards in total. This model is called the Horizon. They have 2 others available called the Ripples and Wasteland. It's actually on a Kickstarter right now that just ended, but I checked before recording and it seems like you can still order through the Kickstarter with a launch later in the year. So hopefully it won't be too long for a public launch, but hopefully as of the time of recording this, you can still put in an order for one. That's essentially it though for the wallet itself. They have a few accessory items that you can add on, like a spot to hold keys and a leather spot to be able to add in, additional cards or anything like that. They actually come with a money clip as well. So if you want to keep cash separate on the exterior, because I don't think you could really put cash inside of here. But very simple, but very clever and cool designs. Next up though is a very different type of wallet. This is from Lemur. This is their just premium wallet. The big standout with this wallet is you actually assemble and build it out yourself. They ship it to you completely flat in a flat mailer, and you fold it and build it when it arrives. It's kind of clever, and it's kind of just a way for them to save some money on manufacturing costs and shipping costs, but nonetheless, I thought it was kind of a fun additional thing that I really haven't seen anyone do before. It's made out of vegetable tan leather and uses stainless steel snaps that apparently have brass on the inside. I would have loved to have seen brass on the entirety of the snaps, but probably a personal preference sort of thing here. But in addition to the flat layout when you receive it, it is a pretty unique design and shape. This isn't really my sort of style for a wallet. It's a little bit thicker. It holds up to 12 cards according to them. And honestly, usually I'm knocking a few of those cards out when I'm testing these, but 12 feels pretty accurate. This thing can be thick. It'll also fold down and get thinner over time if you don't fill it up completely, but I think 12 is reasonable. So if you have a lot to carry, this would probably be a pretty cool option. But the other thing is the way that it's laid out, you can actually store coins pretty easily. Not something that I do, but I know a lot of other countries use coins as regular currency. So people are always asking about potential coin wallets. I've seen ones out of synthetic materials, but I haven't seen a lot of leather coin wallets. So this has an option on the back. You can slide coins in and out really easily without disturbing the rest of the wallet. So that's kind of what this back snap is for. But then when you open up the front, you have the option for your cards here. You can stick some regular cash. Now these are US bills just folded in half, so it'll fit the full. You don't need to trifold. You put extra cards in there as well, and you still do have access to the coins on the back side. So a really clever design. It's a little bit bigger and bulkier than I typically prefer, and I'm not normally one that prefers snap wallets like this. But again, I think for the right person, this design is probably really great, and I do love the veg tan leather inclusion here, and I thought the flat folding was really cool. But on that note, that actually wraps it up for the list today. I really love doing these series. It is getting a little bit harder and harder to find and source new ones for, sticking to the theme of super niche. unique, one-of-a-kind type of gear, but somehow I still keep managing. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you have any of these, really kind of cool, unique pieces that you want me to check out and test. I'd love to have it in the next iteration of the series, but thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next one.